Hi folks, so in this video what we're going to do is we're going to complete some questions here from the DCG Solutions workbook, and it's based on the topic of road geometry, okay? So at this point in the workbook, if you're using it, you would have started the kind of higher level aspect of roads, and what you're doing here in these questions is you're doing roads where they've got both cuts and fills, and the roads are inclining, level and so on, okay? It's a bit of a mixture of everything that you would have learned, okay? And this is kind of getting to the point where you're nearly ready to do the Leaving-Cert exam questions. Now, this is a sheet that I often use and I get my students to learn off, that they can use them when they go into an exam, and it kind of helps them. It's like a cheat sheet for helping them complete a question, okay? So, I'm going to zoom in this first question here. Question top left of the page. So the question says, and you'll see how I'm going to apply it to the cheat sheet, okay? The map shows ground contours at 5 meter vertical intervals, okay? Our scale is 1:2000. But what that means is 5 meter vertical intervals, okay? That is the difference between our contours, 40, 45, 50. So in here, on the top of my cheat sheet, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the increments when I'm doing cuts and fills. So 5 is kind of the magic number that I'm going to pop in there, okay? And this is kind of when we're going to basically work out our increments that we measure out from the sides of the road, okay? It tells us then A, B and C are on the centre line of a proposed roadway. Okay, so A, B and C are on the centre line of a proposed roadway. The road is level from A to B at a height of 30. So what I always do is I take the information and I write it on the sheet. A to B level. And they tell us then that B is at 30 and A is at 30. Okay, write in the information on the sheet. Now my trees look like 5s there, apologies. Okay. It then tells us the road rises from B to C at a rate of 1 in 7.5. So that is a bit of key information there. So from B to C, it rises at a rate of 1 in 7.5. So we'll get onto that. So B to C rising. B to C rising. Okay, and if you want to put in 1 in 7.5. So for every 1 meter I go in height, I travel along the road 7.5 meters. It then tells us, using side slopes of 1 in 1.5 for cuts. So in my cuts, I'm going to go 1 is to 1.5. Okay, and complete the earthworks necessary to accommodate the roadway. So clearly here, we're not having to do any fills, it's all cuts. So first of all, I'm going to work out my increments up here. So 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. Therefore, when I'm doing my increments in a while, I'm going to be doing my increments using 7.5. That's how much I'm going to be stepping out. Now, what I need to do before I start working on this, okay, I'm going to work out a point on the road here where I'm going to be able to kind of work with B and the high part of the road, because it's rising from B to C, but we don't know the height from C. So I have to work somewhere along the road where I can get an exact height. Okay, so what I have down here now is this is the second part of the sheet where we're talking about inclining, declining roads. So we know B is at a height of 30, and it's rising from B to C. So C is obviously the high part of the road. So B is the low part, C is the high part, and I know B is at a height of 30. Okay, I need to work out a measurement somewhere along the way that I can work out. This may not be C, it might be like a point X that you could call it, and C might be further along the road as it continued to rise. But it's the concept that we're trying to use. So, if it's rising at a rate of 1 in 7.5. So, if we imagine we're on the road here, okay, and let's just imagine we're looking straight in at the road like this, okay, and imagine B is here, which is at a height of 30, and I'm after travelling along the road 7.5 meters from there all the way over to here. And for every 7.5 meters I travel along the road, I'm going to go up 1 meter in height. So what does that mean? Technically, if I move 7.5 meters along the road, I'm now at a height of 31 meters. If I go another 7.5 meters along the road, which is technically 15 meters altogether, well then that would continue on in height, and I'd now be at 32. Okay, because I would have gone up 1 plus 1. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to work a certain distance along the road until I get somewhere from the 30 either to 35 or 40. Okay, so what would I have to multiply this by? Okay, so essentially I want to go to, let's say by the end of it, let's say I want to get to 40. Let's say 40 is my number that I want to get to. So what is the difference between 40 and 30? It is 10. So 40 minus 30 is 10. So I have to take the 10 and multiply it by 7.5. That means I'm going to move 75 meters along the road, and I will then be at a height of 40. So that's kind of the concept. So from B, I'm now going to, from B, I'm going to measure 75 millimeters. It's actually working out right there. I'm going to put a little mark in red so it stands out a little bit clearer on the screen. So at that mark there, I'm going to call that mark X, and at that mark, that's at a height of 40. Right there. Apologies now, my number is right beside it. That's at a height of 40. So if I come back to my sheet, X now is at 40. Okay, so this is the bit I have to work out down here. So down here at the bottom, okay, I have to take the difference in height from X to B, the high part to the low part of the road. So subtract them, 40 minus 30. That's the number that goes in there. I take my cut ratio, which is 1 is to 1.5, and I multiply the 10 into that. So 10 times 1 is 10, 10 times 1.5, 15. Now 15 is where I'm going to do my radius, okay, for my cut cone. And the cut cone, this is where the kind of sketch comes in handy. The cut cone always goes at the low part of the road, but the tangent comes from the high part. Okay, so that's our setup. So what I'm going to do now, we know A to B is a level part of the road. So I'm going to start the question now. That's all our work. We've done the hard work. Okay, we've done the maths. Now we're going to start applying it. So A is at 30, B is at 30. So this part here is level. I'm going to use my increments on the sheet. So if we go back to our sheet, it's the top part. I'm going to measure out in increments of 7.5 for cuts. So from the side of the road here, marking out in increments of 7.5. So using the 7 here, the 7 centimeter mark. It's kind of hard for you to see there. Sorry, the light. I'll actually do it from here. Okay, I'll just do a line up and down. I usually like to do it inside here. It's just the lighting. So from 7, I'm going to measure up 7.5. Another 7.5. And another 7.5, so there's 3 of them, and downwards I'm going to do the exact same thing. So 7.5, 7.5, 7.5. Not sure how many I need just now. Now just remember, when you're doing cuts, the numbers will increase as they go away from the road. So the road we know is at 30. So if 30 is where the road is at here, then as it goes up, it's 35, 40, 45. Likewise here, 30 at the side of the road, 35, 40, 45. Okay, so now to be neat and tidy, I'm going to start putting them in. So the 45 one, follow it down. So there's my 45 using my T-square. Okay, now that's my only 45. There's another 45 way out here, but I don't need it because the road is kind of bending. Now the 40 is the next one. So I've got 40, 40, 35 is the next one, 35, 35, and the 30 then is where it's hitting on the road. So I'm going to put in my little marks there. It's 30 right here, and there's another 30 right there. Okay, that's the bottom side of it. Now I'm going to do the top side. So 35, 35, 40, 40, 45. Okay, let's put in our little marks. There's the 30. Okay, now if you wanted, you could put in another little bit extra. So you can see here I've got 35. I could put another one there. I could do another 40 here. You could do the same here as well. So look, let's say I put in the other 35. I'll just put it in as far as there. Okay, I'm going to put these ones in with red dots. Now, I forgot to put that one in, sorry. So that's when the road is level. So let's put in our sketch there. Nice and light. It's going up like this. Then down, as far as there, into the 30th side of the road, and then it will kind of come off again if it continued on. But now we know the road is going off here and it's rising. So something slightly different is going to happen here. So there we go. Pop that in, pop this, and then from here it's kind of going out like that. Now I don't think that's going to affect it there, but you can see it's starting to take shape. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do when the road is rising. And when the road is rising, we have to account for the rise in the road or the fall in the road with either a cut cone or a fill cone. Now here we're clearly using cuts. So my cut cone, which has a radius of 15, is going to go at the low part of the road. So where's low? Is it B or is it at X? B is 30, X is 40, so B is the low part of the road. So my cut cone is going to go off of B. Okay? So, with a radius of 15. So what do I do? How do I do it? First of all, I have to set up my 45 degrees set square. I need to go perpendicular through B. Just move this a little bit, sorry. Perpendicular through B. Perpendicular, I suppose, to the direction of the road, through B. That in nice and dark. Hope you can see that line. And that is going to be my center point on the top side of the road, and this point here is going to be my center point on the bottom side. Now what I'm going to do is, with my T-square, I'm going to measure 15 millimeters. So just using the 20 here as my guide, out as far as 21.5, that's my 15 millimeters. Okay, I'm going to put in my cut cone on the low part of the road. So there's my cut cone there on the top side, using my center point at the bottom. There's my cut cone. I only need it for the tangent, so you don't need to put it in fully. And now, what I need to do then, down here, perpendicular to the X mark, I need to do a tangent from 2 points. It doesn't come from the middle of the road, it always comes from the side. So now I'm going to put that line in there, through that mark, and that's where my tangent lines are going to come from. One from here, and one from here. And we have to do 2 sides of the road. Now remember, when we do our tangent, the tangent comes from the high part of the road, which in this case is at a height of 40, so that's where I have to start my measurements from. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to work on the top side of the road first. So perpendicular to my tangent line, I'll just do rotate my set squares to get them perpendicular. Okay, I'm going to go out like this through the center point that I used to draw the semicircle. So you can see that line that I've just done there. Now on that line there, at this height here right now, right there, that's at 40. Okay, because it comes from the 40 tangent. Okay, now I'm going to do my increments again of 7.5s. So I'll do 3 of them going upwards, 3 or 4 of them going upwards. So from here, that would be 40. Up 7.5, just using your maths here. That's 45, 50, and it only goes as far as 50, so that's as far as I need to go. And I'm also going to measure in downwards. That would be 35, and right here is 30. Okay, so look, 40, 35, 30, 45, and 50. So they're the ones I'm going to do. So everything is going to move parallel, a bit of sliding set squares here, parallel to your tangent. So let's locate them. So if I start with the 30, even though it's in here and it's going down into the road, okay, so there's the 30. And look, if you look at our numbers, 40, none of these are really affecting it. Is there any 30 back here? Yes, there is. So look, the 30 is here. It goes back as far as there. And these ones I'm going to put in green. Hopefully they stand out a little bit different on your screen there. Then I'm going to go on to 35. Is there any 35? Yes, there is. Let's see it there. There's the next green one. And let's continue on the sequence. Then our 40. Okay, there's our 40 one there. Is there any other 40 if we follow it down? Yes, there is. Look, there's the 40 right down here. Yeah, there's one there. Then we're on to the 45. So there's the 45. Is there any other 45? Yes, there is. Okay, and then we have the 50. So 50 is here and here. I think that's right. I'm just going to put them in green there so they stand out a little bit more on your screen. There we go. So a little bit difference between the green and the red. Same thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the sketch through all the green points. And from here it's going to go down through this one, through this one, and into the road there. Okay, and you can see the shape of the curve. Now that we have the shape of the curve, we're going to do the bottom part. So the same concept, I need a line to measure out perpendicular from the side of the road. So, which way am I going here now? Oh my god, apologies. So perpendicular, oh my god, sorry. Bit of brain fart there. Perpendicular to the tangent, I was doing the side of the road. So perpendicular to my tangent on the bottom side, through the centre point. I'm going to use this line as my measurement line. Okay, once again, do a couple out. So that one's 40 where it starts. 7.5 will be 45 and it stops at 50, so I only need 2 out. So 7.5 and the 15. Okay, and going inwards as well, probably only need 2 more. There's the 7.5 and the 15 is right where it starts. So this is where people can get confused. That's why my numbers, I didn't want them here, I wanted them out here. Okay, it's my one little error there. So right here, I'm going to go with a green number actually. I should have put in green last time. So look, 30, 35, 40. Should have went with green. So use green. 30, 35. There's the 40, 45 and 50. Okay, so now using this tangent this time. Okay, start with any 30s that I have. There's a 30 right there, it goes in here. That one's not really going to matter, it's actually hitting right there, so that's fine. 35 goes as far as there. There's another 35 here. Then we're on to the 40. Is there any 40? Yeah, there's a 40 back here. So there's a 40 there. Don't think that one really matters, to be honest. Down here now, do I have a 40? Yes, I do. Do I have another 40? Yeah, I do, way back here. 45. This will be a 45 here. And just making sure, and here. Quite easy to get confusing these. There's the 50 and the 50. Yep. Okay, so just plotting my one pen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're nearly there. Quite a bit of work on these now. Okay, so from here it's going like this into there, so that one doesn't really matter. And from here, they're roughly going through the same point, so that's fine. Out here like this. Now it's quite a messy problem, this one. I'm going like that. Okay, now that we've done that, we can start to heavy in the bits that are important. So here we go. All this, where it's level, can be heavied in. As far as here. Same with this one. Now, there's 2 lines in here, but I'm going with this one, because that was the level part. And now from here, it's going like this. There's a bit of a overlap there. And we stop it at the road. Now with this one up here, slight difference. I'm going to go work backwards on this one. So from here, it's going to go like this, here. And at this point right here, that's like an intersection point of where the 2 curves kind of overlapped. And at that point there, what you would do is where the 2 of them overlapped, you would connect a line in there to the corner like that. Okay, now that's the question complete, guys. Very, very messy one there, but that is the solution. Okay, now that's quite messy, quite tricky to be neat and tidy on that one. Now hopefully the next one isn't as messy. So question number 2. We're going to go through the same process here, and we're going to use the little cheat sheet once again. Okay, so starting the same process again, I'm going to read the information supplied on the sheet. So it says here, the map shows ground contours at 5 metre intervals. I have a second sheet here, so here we go. 5 is your number, that is the difference between the contour heights. Okay, A and B are points on the centre line of a proposed roadway. A is at an altitude of 70. Okay, and the road rises at a rate of 1 in 10, so they don't tell us exactly what the height B is at, so we're going to have to make that up. Okay, using side slopes of 1 and 2 for cuts, so our cut ratio is 1:2. So if we take the 5 and we multiply that into that, well, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 2 is 10. So anytime we're doing a cut, we're going to use a 10 millimetre increment. And 1 and 1.5 for embankments. So embankments, nickname for that is fills. So times 5, 5 times 1 is 5, 5 times 1.5 is 7.5. So anywhere on the road where we have to do a fill, we're going to do 7.5s. Anywhere on the road we're going to do a cut, we're going to do 10s. Now, very similar thing here. The road is rising at a rate of 1 in 10. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we know A is here at 70 and B is off somewhere up here. We don't know what height B is at. but we're going to find a point X on the road and we're going to give that a height. Now it's rising at a rate of 1 in 10. Okay, so if we do this, now terrible sketch this time, but there's A, we know A is at 70, and if we walk 10 meters along the road until it gets to here, well, we've gone up 1 meter in height. So if this was 70, we've gone up 1 meter in height, and now it's 71. Okay, so I've walked from A 10 meters along the road, but I've gone up 1 meter in height. Okay, now the number I want to get to is either 75 or 80. Okay, based on the increments of my sheet, because we've 70, 70s and 80s. So what would I have to multiply? I'm going to go with 80. So how much extra is 80 added on to 70? It's 10 extra. So 10 times 10 equals 100. So I have to travel 100 meters along the road to go up 10 meters in height, basically. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm going to do it. So from A, I'm going to measure 100 millimeters, and I'm going to write right there, that's X, and X is at 80. Okay, so now that I've done that, I'm going to come down to my sheet. What is the difference between X and A? 80 takes 70. I'm going to work out my cut and my fill cones. So 80 takes 70. We're going to pop that number in there. It's 10. Apply it to our cut ratio. 1 is to 2. And our fill ratio is 1 is to 1.5. 10 times 1 is 10. 10 times 2 is 20. So if I'm doing a cut cone, my cut cone radius is 20. If I'm doing a fill cone, my fill cone radius is going to be 10 times 1.5, 15. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. That's our sheet. Remember, our cut cone goes at the low part of the road. Our fill cone, in this case X is at 80, will go at the high part of the road. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with the cuts, just because cuts is first. So in relation to cuts, my cut cone, okay, because there's no part of this road that's level, we're down here, we're not kind of using the level, we're using these increments all right, but now I'm going to start this. So my cut cone goes at the low part of the road, and my cut cone radius is 20. So from A, I'm going to do a line like this, up and down. From X, I'm going to do a line like this, up and down as well, because I'm going to have a tangent. Now once again, this one is actually going to get a little bit messy. So I'm going to get 20 millimeters on my compass. So taking my set square here, move it out as far as the 20. There's my 20. And from A, I'm going to do my cut cone. And from the side of the road here, my cut cone. So I'm going to start by doing my cuts first. Get my tangent. The tangent comes from the high part of the road. And there's my tangent. Now remember, our tangent is going to start at 80. Okay, now that I've got my tangent, I have to go perpendicular to my tangent to do my measurements from. Just find that the easiest. So set square here, rotate your set square, and hopefully, yep, through the center. I do a line like that, and I'm going to have my line set up down here as well. Okay, now I'm going to go with reds for my cuts. So the tangent comes from the 80, so this is 80. Okay, and this is 80. Now, just remember, now we're doing cuts, our increments. If we go back up top of our sheet, for our cuts, we're measuring in tens. Because we're doing cuts, we're measuring in increments of 10. So from the 80, I'm going to measure 10 down, and another 10 down. Brings me right to there. And I'm also going to go up from it. I'll go one outside, just in case. Not sure how many I need. Okay, I'm going to do the same here. Just get my 10 millimeter mark. And one is right here as well. And then I'm going to do an extra 1, 2. You can see them there. Now, as it moves away from the road, the numbers will increase when we're doing cuts. So 90, 100. Sugar, sorry, apologies. That should actually be 85 and 90. Okay, so 90, 85, 80, 75, 70. So here, on this side, 80, 85, 90. And there is a 95 up here, so we probably do have to put in that one. I don't think we'll need the 95 down here. And there's 75 and 70. Okay, so let's start plotting them. Sliding set squares. I'm going to do the top side first. So I'm going to put them all in with my red. So 80 is done. Now the 85, watch here, follow it down parallel to your tangent. Rather than doing the lines because it can get messy, I'm just going to make little marks. I'm going to use my red this time. 85, is there another 85? Yes there is, there's an 85 over here. Okay, let's go down to the 80, let's have a look. Yeah, there's an 80 there. And there's an 80 in here, it's gone inside the road, but I'll put it in. I've done the 85, now we're up to the 90, 90, 90, and finally 95, 95. Let's move down to the 75, there's a 75 here, and then down to the 70, and there is a 70 here. Absolutely fine. Okay, so that's kind of the top side of the road. Now let's focus on the bottom side. I'll put in my sketch just to have it done. Just go through all the points, exactly where those little red guys went through the contour. Hopefully this one will be a little bit neater than the one above. Okay, happy with that. Once it kind of goes into the road, I can kind of stop. Now down here, same concept. So let's find the 80s. So there's an 80 there. There's an 80 all the way over here. We'll do the 85s now. 85, 85. I've got two 90s then. Just about squeezing in. Now onto the 75s. So there's a 75 there. We've got a 70 here as well. You can see they're nearly the mirror image. Yeah, I think that's it. So watch. Going through here. Okay, so that there is our cuts part of the road. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the fills. Now if you remember, the fill cone will always go on the high part of the road. Okay, what's our fill cone radius? 15, and our increments were 7.5. So now I'm going to do, this is where it can get a little bit messy. So from the high part of the road, I'm going to get 15 on my compass. So from 0 to 1.5 centimeters, like that. I'm going to do my little semicircle, which is a little bit smaller this time. Ooh, try and not slip. And the same thing here. And once again, try not to slip. Okay, now my tangent comes from the low part of the road. So from A this time, my tangent is going to go like that. And the same thing here. Now, that's my tangent. So you can see it looks a little bit more confusing, but this time we're working off this one and this one. So I'm going to start on the upper side of the road. Perpendicular to my tangent, I need to do measurements. So measurements will go up like this. Okay, I'm going to do the same with this one down here, perpendicular to my tangent on the bottom half. Measurements will go down like this. Now, remember my increments this time are 7.5s because we're doing fills. Okay, so measuring up in increments of 7.5. So from here, I'm going to go up 7.5, bring me 22.5. If I can find it there, yeah. 15, 7.5, 0. There's all my little marks going inside it. Should have 7.5 there. There's one right here. Doing the same going this way. So from here out, quite hard to see it there now. And I'd say I only have to go as far as 22.5. So there's, look, 1, 2, 3, there's that one, and I have to do one going inside it as well. 7.5 out. Now, there's my increments. Once again, I'm going to use a different colour this time. I went with reds for my cuts, so I'm going to go with green for my fills. Now, the tangent comes from the low part of the road, so the tangent starts at 70. Now, what you have to understand is when we're doing fills, as we move away from the road, the number will decrease. Previously on cuts, as we move away from the road, the number increases, but when we do fills, it will decrease. So 70, 65, 60, 55. Okay, and as it goes closer to the road, it's going to go 75, 80. So same concept. 70 here, 65, nearly got it wrong, 60, 55, 75, 80. Okay, now that's our methods. Let's start plotting them. Okay, excuse me. So, sorry there folks, just got a little cough. So, starting with our tangent, make sure you're using the right tangent. There's the 70 tangent. Let's find where the 70 passes through it. Here. Is there any other 70? No. Now we're going to go up to the 65. So the 65, you can see there's no 65s along the way along here. It's there. Now up to the 60. There. 55. There. So I'm actually quite happy with that. Now we'll go down to the 75. Follow it here. Yep, there's a 75 right there. And we'll go down as far as the 80. And there is an 80 there. There's no need to go any further, it's gone into the road. So that's all the ones on the top side. Okay, so once again, I'm going to sketch that in. So green, true green, true green. You can see they kind of met exactly at the road, so that's actually working out perfect. Now I'm going to do this one down here. So parallel to your tangent, make sure you're using the correct tangent. So where's the 70? Yeah, 70 is right there. Follow it down. I'm going to go to the 65. So there's the 65, 60, and finally the 55 one right here. Okay, go into the 75. 75 is hitting right there. And then into the 80. There. And let's do our sketch. So green, true green, green, and you'll see they're actually working out perfect. So that's my question done. What do I have in? So the green one, this will go from here through there, and it'll actually stop where it hits the road. Okay, and then I'll go on to the red half. Now stop where it hits the road. What you have to understand is this portion here is a cut, this portion is a fill. So if I was to put in my tab folds, the balls would roll away from the road on this side when it's a fill, whereas on a cut they would roll towards the road. Now let's put it in up here. So we'll go through there. It's going to hit the road right here, and then up to this one. That one was a little bit neater than the previous one. Same concept, balls roll away from the road, balls roll towards the road for a cut. So this section here was cut, fill, cut, fill. Okay, so that's the second question done there, guys. Quite complex when they kind of overlap, and you just have to take your time and obviously just be a little bit more careful and attentive. Okay, so next question here, and it's on the right hand side of the page. Let's put it up to zoom out a little bit here. Okay, and I'll have to zoom out a little bit further. There we go. So on this one here, once again, we'll just look at our little cheat sheet. Cheat sheet is here. Okay, actually, put it over here a little bit further, and put it in this way. Right, that goes a little bit more. Okay, we've gone a little bit messy here on my right, but it'll be fine. So the question says, last question on the page, the map shows ground contours at 10 meter vertical intervals. So we're going to apply that to our sheet. That's the number that goes in there between our vertical intervals. Okay, the road rises at a continuous rate. So from A to B it's rising. A and B are points on the central line of the proposed roadway. A is at an altitude of 50. B is at an altitude of 80. Okay, on this one we don't need to work out a point on the road. They've given us the 2 points. So it's rising at a continuous rate. It just continues to rise. Using side slopes of 1 in 1 for cuts. So our cut ratio is 1 is to 1. And 1 in 1.5 for our embankments, which is our fills. Okay, complete the artworks necessary to accommodate the road. So let's do it. 10 times 1 is 10, and 10. Anytime we do a cut increment, it's going to be a 10. Anytime we do a fill increment, it's going to be 15. 10 times 1.5 is 15. Okay, A is the low part of the road, which we know is at 50. B is the high part of the road, which we know is at 80. Our cut cone will go on the low part, with our tangent coming at a height of 80. Our fill cone will go at the high part with our tangent being 50 because it comes from over here. Now, what do? We subtract down here to get this bit to work out our cut and our fill cones. We subtract the high part from the low, or the low part from the high part. 80 take 50 is 30. And we put that into our ratios. 1 is to 1 and 1 is to 1.5. So 30 times 1, 30 and 30. Our radius for our cut cone is 30. 30 times 1 is 30. 30 times 1.5 is 45. So our radius for our fill is 45. Okay, so there we have it, guys. That's the work done. Okay, and then you can use this sheet to help you out in case you get confused. So I'm going to start with my cuts again. Okay, so my cut cone always goes, if we go to our sheet, always goes on the low part of the road. And what's the radius for my cut cone? A radius of 30. So I'm going to get 30 on my compass here. Should actually do my vertical lines first, just to start off. So from A, I want to do a vertical line up because we always had to do it from the side of the road, and from B as well, just to have that done. Okay, so using this, I'm going to get 30 on my compass. So from 40 as far as 43, there's the 30. And from A, I want to do my little arc like that. I'm going to keep it a little bit lighter this time. An arc like that. And then I'm going to draw in my tangents. So from B, there's my tangent on the high part of the road, or the top side of the road, and the bottom side. 2 tangents, and the tangents, I'm going to go with red again. These are starting at 80 and 80. Now I need to go perpendicular to the tangents. So 45 degree set square on the tangent, rotate the set square, always through the center point. That's my line that I'm going to measure from. Okay, and likewise here, the same thing, and rotate through the center. Okay, so measuring now, my increments for my cuts are in increments of tens. So from here, going to go up, do a good few up. So measuring, they've given us a space, so I assume we need it 10, 10, 10. So I've done 4 up, I'll do 2 in. This is always 1 going to be starting here. So look, there's all my little marks. Okay, do the same going downwards. Just measuring in increments of 10, 10, 20, 30. I'll put in an extra 40. And I'll do them going inwards as well. Okay, there's all my little marks. Now, remember for cuts, as it goes away from the road, it will increase. So we had 80, and so we're going up to 90, 100, 110, 120. And by the looks of it, I have a 130 here, so I will actually have to put it in. And one more up here anyway. So there's my 130. Now same thing here, 80, 90, 100, 110. I'll put in the 120 down here. And then we have 70, 60 and 50, 70, 60 and 50. So now let's start doing the sliding set squares. I'm going to start up here on the top side. So parallel to your tangent. So where's the 80 pass through? The 80 passes through literally right there. So happy with that. Is there any other 80? There's an 80 all the way down here, but probably won't be using that. Might use it as a guide. Go up to the 90 now. So look, 90. Is there any other 90? Yeah, there is over here, but it's going off the page. 100. And I assume, yeah, no 100. 110. 120. It seems to be hitting right on the point. And the 130 going back over here. So there's the 130. 80, we'll go down to the 70 now. So there's a 70 there, but there's actually a second 70 line right here. And we'll go down to the 60. Yeah, I didn't need the 80 over here. Okay, so there's my sketch. So look, 130 as far as the 20. And it seems then to go over as far as the 70 here, like that. Just make sure I've got all the right ones. Yeah, 70. 80, 90. It's quite easy to make a mistake here. Okay, so that's my curve there on the top side for the cuts. Now I'm going to do the same on the south side of the road. Just using the red again, so let's go through the 80. Is there any 80 contour? No, it's not interfering here. So let me see. No. Let's see, is there 71? It's a bit of a funny looking guy here now. No, there's no 70 hidden there. And there's no 70 hidden here. It's actually not interfering at all. What about the 60? Now it is hitting the 60, but it's inside the road. So look, follow the 60 in. It's inside the road, so it is hitting right there. I'll pop in the 50 as well. Let's see, is the 50 hitting? Yeah, but the 50 is way out here, so to be honest, I don't think that really matters. It's out there. Okay, so there's no 80, seems to be hitting it. That's fine. Is there a 90? We may not actually just have any hitting down here. 80, the 90 is here, but it's not hitting it. What about the 100? It's 100 here, not hitting it. 110. Always just checking. No. 120. Last one. No, nothing. There's nothing actually hitting on the bottom side, so after all that work I actually didn't need it. Should have realised that, probably should have looked at it beforehand. Okay, so there is our cuts done. Okay, don't need any of these in here, they're not affecting it. Now we're getting onto the fills. So the fill cone always goes at the high part of the road. Fill cone high. Okay, what's my fill cone radius? Radius of 45. So now we're going to do that at the high part of the road. So getting my set square here, I'm going to measure 45 on the fill cone. There we go. I'm going to do it on both sides. So there's my fill cone on the north side of the road, and let's say the south side of the road. Okay, so there's my fill cone. Now what I'm going to do is create a tangent to it. Tangent is quite large in this one. Okay, and the same thing down here. So there's my tangents. Now I need something to measure perpendicular from the tangents. I'm going to go with the green this time for the fills. So it's always just easier to measure perpendicular to the tangents. You could have a fairly good guess, but better safe than sorry. Do it accurately. Okay, so there's my lines. And now if you remember, my increments for my fills are 15s. Last time they were 10s, this time they're 15s for fills. So I'm going out in increments of 15. So if I just do 45, 15 will bring me to 30. 15 there. Not sure how many I need. I might put in one more, so I'll extend the line. So I'll put one more, and then going inwards I should have 3 of them. So it's 45 radius. So from there 15, 30, and there's one right here. Okay, so there's my numbers. And likewise here, let's go out 15, 30, 45, 60, and I'll go out as far as 75. Just on the page there. Right, this time I'm using greens. Now remember, our tangent line, okay, comes from the 50, so this is 50. Now we're going in increments of 10. We measured out 15s, but it's 10. Now remember, for fills, as we go away from the roads, the number will decrease. So this will be 40, whereas for cuts it'll increase, but for fills it'll decrease. 30, 20, 10. Now nothing may be affecting us up here. Okay, 60, 70, 80. So that's this side. Now let's go on to this one. So tangent comes from the 50, and it'll go 40, 30, in here 60, 70, 80. Okay, so let's start doing it. Now it could be the same thing here. So let's go with the 50. So does the 50 pass through? Yes, it does. Make sure I'm using the green one. So the 50 passed through right there. Is there any other 50 I can see? 40, 40. There is a 50 down here, but it's not cutting through it. And there's no 50 over here, so that's fine. We'll go up to the 40. Yeah, there is a 40 hitting it. I don't think there's any 30, 20 or 10, so that's fine. Now we're on to the 60. So there's a 60 actually bang right there. So 40, 50, 60. Is there any other 60 going along? There is actually over here. If you follow the 60 down, it's hitting in there. Now I don't think that's going to affect us, but we'll put it in for now. Now the 70, so if we follow it down, yeah, there's a 70 right there. That's probably the point where it's hitting on the road, so that's fine. So there's the 70, and it hits right there as well. And that's 70, 70, 60, yeah, that's fine. Okay, 80. Is there an 80 hitting? I'm trying to see the 80 marks. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So 80 is up here. Is there any 80 down here? Yeah, there is, but it's not hitting there, so that's fine. That's actually the north side of the road done, so watch this. Starting to 40. Down to the 50. Into the 60. Down to the 70. And it'll go in like that, but we're only going to draw that bit. So the top side of the road is actually done. Watch this. So I'm heavy this in. Heavy this. And then this down. Okay. So that side on the right side was a fill, which basically means if I was doing tadpoles, the balls would roll away from the road. And this side was a cut. Sorry, light's going out here now, guys. Okay, and there's the cut. Okay. Now, so cuts and fills. I've done the north side of the road. Let's get the south side of the road done. And it seems I'd say there'll only be fills down here. So, going with the 50s, using the green again, nearly done. So was there any 50s here? Yeah, there was, right here, if we follow it over. There's the 50. Let's see, is there a 40? Yeah, there's a 40, if you follow it down. Quite tricky this one now. There's no other 40, is there? Yeah, there's a second 40 here actually. There's the 40. There's the 50 again. So if I go back into the 50, if you follow it down, it's a hitting, just about hitting there. So yeah, it looks like there's a 60 here. Follow it down. Yeah, it's kind of going in back in itself. So there's the 50, 40, 40, 50, 60. Is there any other 60 here? Yeah, there's a 60. So if I follow it in, there's no 30s. Okay, nothing to worry about 30s, and I've got the 40s. So 60 is done. Now on to the 70. Yeah, there's a 70 there. 80. Yeah, there's an 80 there. It seems I have to put in another one, so I'm just going to put in this now as I'm seeing it here. So it kind of goes like that. Through this guy. It's going over to the 80, and by the looks of it, we have to do a 90 maybe, would it, if it goes like this? I'll probably just about hit the 90, so I'm going to put in one more. Going inwards, unfortunately. So I have to measure from here 15 millimeters back in. So from that point there, and I'm going to put in 90 here. And once again, going parallel with my tangent. Just put in the line going like that. Yeah, it's just to go. I'm just going to hit the 90. So I do need it alright. There's the 90. And once again, let's draw it in. Don't think I'll need the 100, it's going off my page anyway. So let's heavy this in. Okay, now that looks a little bit funny there. That is correct. So that there was all a fill. So when it's a fill, the ball would roll away from the road. Okay, so that was a fill there as well. Right, just bring that out again there, guys. So that was the sheet there done. Page 19 in that blue book there. Complex enough ones, they're tricky enough, okay, and that's where we're kind of overlapping things, so they are quite tricky. But what I do find quite helpful is this little cheat sheet here. So it's just follow the rules, trust the process, and you should be fine. Right, so that's the questions done there, guys. Hope you found that helpful. Okay.